Hello and welcome to second lecture of research methodology lecture series. In today's lecture, we will take a detailed account on different types of research. So as stated in previous lecture, research is a systematic, rigorous investigation of a situation or a problem in order to generate new knowledge or validate the existing knowledge. Now, research can be classified into various categories based on the perspective under which the research activity is initiated and conducted. Let us see the first category. Depending on the outcome or applications, research can be classified as pure research or applied research. Depending on the objective of research study, research is categorized into four groups: descriptive research, exploratory research, explanatory research, and correlational research. Whereas, if we consider the inquiry mode or character of data, research can be a qualitative research or a quantitative research. Now, next category, considering approach of research, research is grouped into longitudinal research and cross-sectional research. Whereas, apart from all these types, there are some other types such as conceptual research, empirical research, experimental research, analytical research, laboratory research, grounded theory research, historical research, conclusion-oriented research, and decision-oriented research. So these are the different types of research according to their category. So this categorization of research depends upon the following perspectives in general, of which first one is application of research study. Why you have carried out this particular research. So that is one area. Second one, considering the objectives in undertaking the research. Now, in the previous lecture, we have seen different types of objectives. So based on that objectives, research can be categorized into different groups. And the last one categorization is inquiry mode employed for research. As we are seeing types of research, now each research has certain synonyms. Now as a student who is studying this research methodology paper, now that can be either for PET examination or some competitive examination, or the students who are studying graduation and undergraduation courses. So you need to remember all the different synonyms that particular research is carrying. For example, now based on these applications or outcome, research is categorized into two groups: pure research and applied research. Now this pure research is also known as fundamental research, basic research, or theoretical research. So in examination you might be asked for fundamental research or basic research or theoretical research. At that point you should be knowing what kind of research you are asked about. So first category, which is types of research based on applications, in that first type of research is fundamental research. Now this fundamental research, it is done for knowledge enhancement, which means the main motivation of this research is to expand man's knowledge, not to create or invent something. So this type of research does not necessarily have some commercial potential. So there is no obvious commercial potential value to the discoveries that results from this basic research. And this basic research or pure research or fundamental research, it will lay foundation for the applied research. Now what does that mean? Example of this pure research or fundamental research are whatever the research which are carried out concerning a natural phenomenon, or pure mathematics, or studies which are carried out to understand human behavior. All those studies comes under this pure research. So this pure research is for answers to questions such as how did the universe begins. So whenever there is a research which is done only for gaining some knowledge, that comes under this fundamental research. Now the second type of research depending on application or outcome is applied research. Now this applied research is also known as action research. The goal of this applied research or action research is to improve human conditions. Unlike previous type of research which was only carried out for enhancing knowledge, this type of research is carried out to find solution to some problem. So this aims at finding solution for an immediate problem. Now that problem can either be in a society or an organization or some industry level problem. Basically it aims to find solutions to all those problems. Examples can be vaccine which was developed against SARS-CoV-19 virus. So that's Covaxin, development of Covaxin or Covishield. All this comes under this applied research. So this type of research are generally carried out on large scale basis, and it often requires some support in kinds of financing agencies. So these applied research are exploratory research, or they can also be a descriptive research. Now what does this exploratory and descriptive research means? We are going to see in next few slides. Now, such examples of such research, applied research, can be improvement of agricultural crop production or treatment of specific disease or development of vaccine. All these researches comes under applied research. Now this action or applied research can be subcategorized into problem oriented research and problem solving research, of which first problem oriented research has a broader range of application. For example, it tries to find solutions to problems which are of society. Example, in India there is an authority known as Agriculture and Processed Food Export Development Authority. Now this authority conducts regular research for purpose of finding solutions to problems which are at agri-industrial level. It does research for benefit of agri-industry. Another kind is problem solving research. Problem solving research is a kind of applied research or action research, and it is done by an individual company or individual institution for problem faced by it. For example, if you see an example of some academic institution, student satisfaction survey can be carried out for understanding whatever the problems students might be facing at that institution. So that comes under problem solving research. And this problem solving research and problem oriented research are types of applied research or action research. Now based on objectives, research can be categorized into 4 groups: descriptive research, explanatory research, exploratory research, and correlational research, of which first one is descriptive research, or it is also known as statistical research. Now this descriptive research seeks to provide an accurate description or observation of certain phenomena. So it might be describing population or situation or phenomenon that is being studied. So this type of research is a means of discovering new meaning, or it tries to describe things that are existing, or if certain phenomenon is carrying out, it tries to determine the frequency of that phenomenon, and it also categorizes that information. Descriptive research is used to observe and describe research subject without influencing or manipulating the variables in any way. So it tries to find answers or tries to derive information in a crude way, in its crude form. And the characteristic of this research is researcher, the person who is carrying that research is called as researcher. So in this type of research, researcher does not have any kind of control over that variable. Now this kind of research employs certain statistical methods. Those statistical methods are simpler ones like percentages or averages. And in social science and business research, this descriptive research is also known as ex post facto research. Ex post facto means after the fact research. An example of descriptive research can be, suppose in a particular area there has been found an occurrence of particular disease. So how frequent the disease is occurring and what age group it is particularly affecting. Research regarding that particular disease and the population it is affecting comes under this descriptive research. Now once that frequency has been found, efforts can be taken to control that disease, and based on that preventive measures can be carried out. The second category of research based on objective is exploratory research. Now this exploratory research is also called as interpretive research or formulative research or grounded theory approach. Now in some textbook you might also find that grounded theory approach is considered as a separate group of research. So coming to this exploratory research, it is a research that aims to find solution to a problem which has not been clearly explained. So there is a research problem, a research design has been created, and this kind of research tries to improve that final research design. It is aimed at determining the best research design, data collection method and selection of subjects. Now to give an example of this exploratory research, suppose your research aim is to produce certain enzyme. For that you have chosen particular strain of, let us say, bacteria. Now you have your research design and you have an experimentation where you have inoculated that particular bacterial strain and you are trying to produce that enzyme. But during your research you have found that that particular bacterial strain is not efficient enough to produce high yield of that particular enzyme. Now you have your research design, you optimized your experimentation, yet you are not able to get that maximum yield of that particular enzyme. Even after optimization you are not getting enough yield of that particular enzyme. At that point, after discussing that issue with your guide, you decide to change that particular bacterial strain. So that kind of research is considered as exploratory research, where you are willing to now change direction of your research, and it is usually carried out at the beginning stages of your research problem. This is what exploratory research is. Next type of research based on objective is explanatory research. Now this explanatory research, it has aim to explain why certain events occur. So it basically tries to give answers to why particular phenomenon occur, why certain thing is in a way that it explains the causes and consequences of a well-defined problem. For example, study of increased addiction of electronic gadgets in students. So this type of research, it is explanatory research, will try to find answers to what are the causes which are making students addicted to electronic gadgets. Now once it has found causes to this problem, it will also try to find its effects. So this is an explanatory research. And then last kind of research in this category is correlational research. Now unlike the explanatory research, this correlational research does not necessarily tries to find answer to causes and effect. However, the aim of this type of research is finding relationship among two or more variables. It is a type of non-experimental research method. What does this correlational research do? This correlational research systematically investigate, or it is carried out in a statistical manner, finding whether there is any kind of association or relation or correlation between two or more variables. And this correlational research can be subcategorized into three categories: positive correlational, negative correlational and zero or no correlational research. Now what does this positive correlational research means? In positive correlational research, two variables are statistically corresponding. That means increase or decrease in one variable creates similar change in other variable. For example, relation between study and academic performance of a student. So more will be the study of that student, maximum will be his or her academic performance, and vice versa. So this is a positive correlational research. Second subcategory, negative correlational research. Now in this category, the two variables are statistically opposite. That means increase in one variable will result in decrease in other variable, and decrease in one variable will cause increase in second variable. For example, good hygienic practices and rate of getting sick, or we can say an infection. So more will be the hygiene, lesser will be the rate of getting sick or infection, and vice versa. So that comes under a negative correlational research. Third category is zero or no correlational research. Now here two variables are not statistically connected. They are not interdependent. That means increase or decrease in one variable will not influence other variable. For example, relation between money and happiness. There is no doubt that maximum income leads to a good lifestyle of a person, but it is not necessarily linked with the happiness. So this is zero or no correlational research. So next category is type of research based on character of data or inquiry mode. First one is qualitative research. Now this qualitative research, as the name suggests, it will be about research which involves certain quality, study of certain quality, does not involve numerical data. So this type of research involves looking in depth at non-numerical data. And qualitative research deals with phenomena that are difficult or impossible to quantify. Now what are certain phenomena which are impossible to quantify? Things such as symbols or beliefs or emotions of a person, meanings. Now they are difficult to quantify. So whatever the research which will be carrying out for such type of attributes or phenomena, that comes under qualitative research. So it deals with collection, analysis and interpretation of data by observing what people do and say. Motivation research is a type of qualitative research that aims at discovering the underlying motives or desires using interview type of method of data collection. Another type of qualitative research can be attitude research or opinion research. Now this opinion research is a research designed to find out how people feel and what they think about particular subject or institution. So basically, approach which is carried out in this type of research is an unstructured approach of research design. There is no predefined structure to carry out this research. Now this qualitative research can be grouped into three subcategories: phenomenology, ethnographic research and case study. Of which phenomenology, it tries to find how one or more individuals feel about certain phenomena. Again, it is via an interview. Ethnographic research, it is an investigation of culture through an in-depth study of members of culture. Here, individuals are asked questions, whereas in ethnographic research, community or culture of particular population will be studied. For example, of this phenomenology is, suppose interviewing say 10 victims of particular tragedy, 10 victims who have faced certain tragedy. They are interviewed and they are asked how they are felt about that particular incident. That comes under this phenomenology. Whereas in ethnographic research, for example, your research aim is to study academic practices or culture of a tribal residing in the Andaman Island. For that, you have to be one among them to collect information about that community. So that comes under this ethnographic research. And the last one is case study. In case study, focus is on providing detailed account of one or more cases. One or more cases are studied. Second group under this category is quantitative research. Now this quantitative research, it is a systematic empirical investigation of any phenomenon. It is systematic. Previous one was unstructured. Now this quantitative research is a structured approach to inquiry. Here certain research design is predetermined. So this type of research is based on measurement of quantity. Now that quantity or amount is measured via certain mathematical technique or computational technique or statistical technique. Now it is applicable to phenomena that can be quantified. You can measure its quantity, its amount. So that comes under this quantitative research. Now this research involves use of structured questions. So here approach is structured approach, and response options have been predetermined and large number of respondents are involved in quantitative research. So approach of inquiry in quantitative research is structured, whereas in qualitative research approach was unstructured. Now what does this structured approach means? Structured approach means everything that forms the research process, that is objectives or design sample or questions that you will be asking to collect the data. All those questions that will be asked to respondents are predetermined. So in quantitative research approach is structured, whereas in qualitative research approach is unstructured. Now next type of categorization of research based on approach or comparison is longitudinal research and cross-sectional research. Now let us say we want to investigate the relationship between daily walking and cholesterol levels in the body. Now, one of the first things we would have to determine is the type of study that will tell us the most about that relationship of daily walking and cholesterol level. So we will ask question, do we want to compare cholesterol levels among different populations of walker and non-walkers at the same point in time, or do we want to measure cholesterol levels in a single population of a daily walker over an extended period of time? For that, if we have to study the relationship between walker and cholesterol in a single population over an extended period of time, so that is considered as a longitudinal research. On the other hand, suppose we want to compare cholesterol level among different population of walker and non-walker at the same point in time. So here two variables, but that study is carried out at one time, and that is considered as a cross-sectional research. So let us see the first type of research, that is longitudinal research. Now this longitudinal research and examination, repeated examination of the same individual or same variable is carried out to detect any change that might occur over a period of time. So single individual or single variable is studied here over a certain period of time. It is most used in medical research or other fields of research such as psychology or sociology. And this longitudinal research can be grouped into panel study, cohort study and retrospective study. So in panel study, survey will be carried out by a researcher with exact same sample over a period of time. So sample or variable is single, but that variable is studied over a certain period of time. Whereas in cohort study, here a group of people are studied. Now how that group of people is selected? That group of people is selected based upon specific trait they have or certain specific trait they experienced. Whereas in retrospective study, individuals are sampled and information is collected about their past. So to summarize, this longitudinal research study certain variable or individual over a certain period of time. Whereas in cross-sectional research, now this cross-sectional research is also known as observational research or one-time research. Now why it is called as one-time research? Because this type of research collects data at a single point in a time. Suppose this is a time frame. Here a population is, suppose this is particular population, that population is studied at single point in this time frame, and it is studied so as to determine the relationship between variables of interest. Coming back to that example of relationship between daily walking and cholesterol level. Now in longitudinal research, you will study a single individual, single daily walker is studied over a certain period of time, let us say 6 months. For 6 months that particular single individual will be studied and cholesterol level of that person will be measured. So that is a longitudinal research. Whereas in cross-sectional research or one-time research, you can study population of people at single point. Let us say any random day of particular month, you will collect sample of that particular population. Now here you can categorize that certain population based upon their age group, based upon their gender, and 2 or more variables, that is variables of interest, you will be studying but at single time. Let us say a single day of particular month. That is called as cross-sectional research. Now next type of research is a conceptual research. Now this conceptual research is basically studied to develop new concepts or to get a better understanding of a certain existing concept in practice. So here a research topic is selected, relevant literature will be collected, variables will be identified, research design will be prepared, and this type of research is mainly relies on previously conducted studies. Now in literature you will study whatever the different study has been already done in this area, and you will try to find some new information. You will try to get in-depth knowledge of that particular topic. So that comes under this conceptual research. Next type of research is empirical research. Now in empirical research, this word empirical, it is derived from a Greek word where it means an experienced. So this particular research is aimed to get a data for generation of new idea or observation or experiment. Now this type of empirical research, it solely depends upon evidence that are collected through observation or scientific data collection method. Now this empirical research can be carried out using qualitative or quantitative observation depending on the data sample, that is quantifiable data or non-quantifiable data. Suppose a data is non-numerical or non-quantifiable, it will be carried out using qualitative method. Now suppose data can be quantified or you can measure the amount, then it will be carried out via this quantitative observation. For example, suppose you have to determine whether a particular strain of bacteria or fungus is able to produce certain secondary metabolite or not. For that, you will only observe the presence or absence of that particular secondary metabolite. That will be under this empirical research. Then in that too, it will be a qualitative observation method, because you are only determining the presence or absence of that particular secondary metabolite. Whereas now when you perform an assay, now when you tries to get the quantity of that particular secondary metabolite produced, so that comes under quantitative observation method of this empirical research. Next research is analytical research. Now this analytical research involves critical thinking skills. Here researcher has to use information already available. Researcher has to collect data, and that data needs to go through a rigorous interpretation analysis, and that analysis is done so as to get critical evaluation of that material. Now basically this analytical research focuses on understanding cause-effect relationship between 2 or more variables. Next kind of research is an experimental research, and this experimental research is carried out for the purpose of predicting and controlling certain phenomena. And this also tries to examine the probability and causality among selected variables. Now, this experimental research is conducted with a scientific approach. So again, it is we can say an empirical method where scientific approach is used. And two sets of variables will be used here in experimental research. Now, why two sets of variable? Because the first set of variable will be used as constant, and second set of variable will be used to measure the difference. Second set of variable will be compared with that constant, that is with the first set. Such type of research is an experimental research. To give an example, while performing an experimentation in microbiology, suppose you are performing certain assay. Suppose an enzymatic assay of particular enzyme, let us say an amylase enzyme. Now, as you will be carrying out that assay in two sets. You will be having a tube which is considered as a control, positive control, and second one will be a test. Now you will be measuring your quantity in that test while comparing your sample with the control one. So that is an experimental research. Now next kind of research is a laboratory research. As the name suggests, it is carried out in laboratory. So it provides conditions it is carried out in controlled conditions. So it provides conditions with technological research, measurements and experiments to be performed. Now it involves any kind of experiment. Now that can be either microscopical experiment, hematological, immunological, parasitological, any kind of experiment that is carried out in laboratory. That comes under laboratory research. So it involves the study of natural science with experiments. Next category is grounded theory research. Now this grounded theory research, it is a research approach designed to discover what problem exists in a given social environment and how the person involved handle them. So the response of that particular person to the problem which is occurring in social environment is studied under grounded theory research. Next type of research is historical research. Now this historical research utilizes historical sources such as documents or remains to study events or ideas of the past. So it studies the past, including philosophy of a person or groups at any remote point of time. Now in every type of research there will be certain steps that will be carried out while performing that particular research. Let us see an historical research. In historical research, there are certain steps such as identification of research topic. Now that research topic will be dealing with the past events. Once the research topic is identified, research problem or research question is formulated, then data will be collected. Now that can be via studying the literature review to get knowledge about that particular event which has occurred in past. The material is evaluated, data is synthesized, and report is prepared. That comes under this historical research. Now last two types of research are conclusion oriented research and decision oriented research. In conclusion oriented research, researcher has a freedom to choose a topic, that is research problem. He or she can redesign that inquiry as he or she proceeds in that particular research, and he or she has a freedom to prepare conceptualization of that particular topic. He can visualize that solutions to that research problem as per his or her wishes. Now this decision oriented research basically provides freedom of decision to decision maker. Now research will be carried out and redesigning of that inquiry will be carried out as per the decision makers. Here researcher has less freedom to visualize or conceptualize that research problem as per his or her wish. Example is operations research. Now that comes under this decision oriented research. Now this operation research, it is a scientific method of providing executive department with quantitative basis for decisions regarding operations under their control. So here decision makers have right and freedom to choose and redesign the research problem. That's all for today in types of research. We will meet soon with a new lecture in this lecture series. Thank you.